right, you are back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. Friday, it's fucked up Friday, and what are you doing? In Australia at the moment, they've lifted restrictions, and this is the first Friday night you're allowed to have people over your house for like 5 or 6 weeks. You're allowed 5 people. The government lifted the restrictions. The Boyle kept them in place. No more than 2 people in the Boyle household. Boyle plus 2, and there's already 2, so no one's invited. And I'm going to be honest with you, I did actually invite a couple of people over. Both said no. Who wants to spend their first fucking Friday out and about again with a sober guy, his kid, and his wife? I totally understand it, but the 2 people I did say come over, one of them said, I'm going to my mum's, and the other one said, I'm going to my grandma's. So it's not like they were passing me up for a good time. Still, I understand it. The pubs and bars and shit aren't open yet. It's just house parties. Maximum 5 people. They're going to keep slowly easing the restrictions. So that big fucking party, the big end of coronavirus party that I was contemplating ruining my life over, is probably not even going to happen. By the time they take the full restrictions back off, and by full restrictions, I mean give you half your rights back, everyone will have been out and about. People will have seen the world again and gone, yeah, I'm not that keen. Put me back in restrictions. Not one person I know or I've talked to wants it to go back to the way it was. I think they're mainly talking about work-wise. I do have a very degenerate type of friend. One of my mates said he has the second wave on his vision board. Alright, so it's fucked up Friday. And you know what? You fucked me again. I keep telling you this, and you keep fucking me. I'm eventually gonna run out of stories. You're just getting what you're given now. Just whatever pops into my fucking head. And I don't want to hear a fucking word about your stories of shit now as well. You just get what you're given. I've had too many people promise me stories. I've had a guy promise me a story for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and he messaged me 3 days ago saying I got a DUI yesterday. I'm like, yeah, write it down and send it in. Yeah, I know you're probably in a depression now. You're having an existential crisis. But get it down on paper, send it into I'm Quitting Alcohol with comedian David Boyle. So what happens now when you don't send in stories is I sit on the couch for 4 minutes. I think of something fucked up that's happened while I've been drinking. And the first thing that comes into my head is the story you're getting. All right, today's story is... We have to go way back for today's story. Today's story happened when I was about 16. It's less about me and more about one of my mates. But it's possibly the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life, ever. And it's possibly one of the worst things I've seen too. So this is when I was about 16. I'll give you a tiny little bit of backstory. So I got kicked out of school. Then I took a year off school. Then I went to this new school, which was in the sort of fucking country. I felt myself to be more of a city kid. And I ended up out at this school in the middle of fucking nowhere. The dodgiest school in Australia. We had a famous criminal in Australia. His name was Chopper Reed. He had no ears. He chopped his ears off in prison so he could go to the hospital. He went to my school. That's the caliber of school I went to. And they didn't let me in straight away either. I was on probation for 6 months. I had to go there for 3 rounds of interviews for them to let me into this shithole of a school. And on one of those rounds of interviews, I was sitting out the front of the principal's office waiting to get called in, and some fucking dirtbag kid had got in trouble and got sent to the principal's office and sat right next to me. And we just started chatting, and we ended up getting pretty friendly just from this chat out the front of the principal's office. In the middle of this chat with this dude that I don't know, who's in trouble, this fucking smoking hot girl just comes and sits in his lap outside the principal's office. And he just continues chatting, and she's sitting there trying to get his attention. He doesn't give a fuck. Tells her to go away. I'm like, I like this guy. I think I'm going to be mates with this guy. That dude ended up being my mate Trenner, who was probably at the time the most popular dude in the entire fucking school, especially with the women. Every single girl from year 7 to year 12 was in love with this motherfucker. So when I first moved to this new school, For the first year, I didn't even try and make friends. Didn't even try. I'll tell you that whole story another time as well. My year of no friends. They hated me and I hated them. So I was like, so it was mutual. I thought I was some city kid. I thought they were country bumpkin cunts. Turns out I really love those country bumpkin cunts. This happened just after my year of no friends. I just started going to parties with people, getting invited to drink and all that. I still didn't know who these people were. I was just easing my way into these fucking social circles. So one day at school, Trina's like, oh, do you want to come out Friday night, have a drink with me and this other guy, Brendan? And I sort of knew Brendan at the time. He was another dude the girls loved, blonde-haired surfer dude. Good bloke, but I didn't know either of them that well. And I was like, fuck it, I'll go out with these guys. I'll get hammered. That was always my game plan. I was like, if all else fails, just get drunk. Get very, very drunk and act like a cunt. So I meet up with these two down at Dramana Pier, on the foreshore in Dramana, on the beach, like true, disgusting 15-year-old, 16-year-old grommets. We're drinking. The night's pretty fucking uneventful. As Trina's getting a bit drunk, he's getting a bit more annoying. Like a little bit lippier, like trying to test me out or something. To his credit, though, Trina was a fucking all-rounder. He wasn't just good with the girls. Actually, he wasn't just fucking excellent with the girls. He could fight. He had balls. He could play footy. He was a bit of an all-rounder. And so as we're getting drunker, he's sort of testing me out. And as I'm getting drunker, I'm just willing to do anything. I don't give a shit. So we start doing a little bit of like teenage vandalism, I would say. Just shit. I can't even remember what it was. Kicking a bin over or something. Something immature. And then someone gets the good idea to climb on top of the shopping centre roof and finish drinking up there. And so all three of us climb up there. We're fucking hammered now. And Trina is just becoming increasingly more annoying. Like he's really testing me out. It's really obvious now. And it's eventually, if it continues, it's going to end up in a fucking fight. Brendan's not doing anything. Brendan's a sweet dude. So we're up on this shopping centre roof and Trent continues. He just keeps going, keeps niggling at me. I'm starting to get real fucking pissed off now. I'm also fucking hammered too. So I sit down. On the edge of a skylight. Just a square skylight. For no reason, just because I'm a lazy cunt and that was the only ledge to sit on. So I'm sitting on the edge of this skylight. Trainer comes over. Trainer's fucking hammered now. And he starts sort of shadow boxing in my face. And I'm like, fuck off, cunt. I'm over it now. And he's like having a laugh and he keeps shadow boxing in my face. I'm like, get the fuck away from me. Then he comes back over, gives me a couple of little taps in the face. And I stand up. I'm like, fuck off, man. I'm going to fall through the fucking skylight if you keep doing that. And Trent starts laughing and he goes, I'll show you fall through the skylight. And this is what he does. He walks up to the skylight. He puts his foot in the middle of the skylight and tries to do this step where he puts pressure on the skylight, but not enough to break through and jump over it. But what actually happens is he goes, I'll show you fall through the skylight, puts his foot in the middle of the skylight and just... and just steps straight through it and fucking falls straight through. Like in a split second. He's there. He's like, I'll show you fucking chew. And just got sucked through the skylight. Me and Brendan look at each other and then we both look over the edge and Trina's on the ground just fucking writhing in pain, like wriggling fucked up in pain. The drop was about 4 fucking meters directly onto concrete. And I just started laughing uncontrollably. Like I was curled over. I couldn't get down. I couldn't even stand up. I was bent over. Brendan's like, come on, man. Come on. We've got to go get him. And I literally couldn't stand up because I was laughing so hard. It was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I think that is as hard as I've ever laughed in my entire life. Brendan gets down to Trina before I can even stretch myself straight. I finally get down to Trina, and Trina is fucked. He tried to stand up like 10 times, which was fucking ballsy because he had a fucking broken hip. as he was going down through the skylight, he must have fucking hit his chin. And, and the bottom of his chin is just fucking split right open. But he's also fucking bitten halfway through his tongue, so his tongue's fucking huge. His tongue's bleeding. And he's like, when I'm down there, I'm like, give me a look in your mouth. Give me a look in your mouth. I look at his tongue. His tongue's fucked. But then I look at his teeth, and a whole row of teeth have gone from sitting normally in his mouth to like his molars being in the center of his mouth, like at a right angle to where they normally are. Fucking blood's pissing out everywhere. He's got a broken arm at this stage as well. I can't even look at him without bursting into tears of laughter for some reason. It was just a nervous reaction, I think. But I could not stop laughing. So we're like, what are we going to do? No one really wants to call the ambulance or the police. Trenna insisted calling the ambulance. He's like, I'm fucked. I'm fucked. I think that's what he was saying. So we ended up calling the ambulance. The police came with them. The police are like, how did he fall through the skylight? We're like, well, we were kicking the footy down the street here and it went on the roof, so he had to go get it. They're like, are you fucking drunk? No. How old are you? 24. Trenna was out for a long time after that. He was recovering for like 3 or 4 months. He completely fucked himself up. It was a bad scene. And I don't think he really appreciated how much I was laughing at it either. I think that's stuck in his mind because years later, probably like 3 or 4 years later, we're all at a footy club having a drink together, and there was a fence going around the footy ground. And we're outside, and Trenna goes to me, do you reckon you can jump over that fence? And I said to him, jump over it, I'll fucking hurdle it. And so hammered, I take like a fucking 100-meter run up to hurdle this fence. I'm going full steam ahead for some reason. And I lift my front leg to hurdle it, and it just clips the fence. And I just go over the top and land face first into the dirt because I was too drunk to throw my hands out. I just fucking landed face first and went skidding into the dirt. By the time I'd realized what the fuck had happened and turned around and was trying to get the grass and dirt out of my teeth, Trenna's come up to my face and gone, you got knocked the fuck out, bitch. And as I'm pulling the grass out of my teeth, I'm thinking, that's not very necessary, is it? That was a little over the top. You got knocked the fuck out, bitch. Where does that animosity come from? And he's like, I've been waiting years for that fucking payback. I'll hurdle it. All right, that's it. That's it for Fucked Up Friday. Now that I've finished that story, I feel like I've told it before. Well, if I have, you got a few extra flourishes, didn't you? All right, that's it for me tonight. Subscribe to the podcast, tell your friends about it, share it around, and have a good fucking weekend, eh? See you the fuck later.